In this world, every person receives a blessing from an animal god when they turn 16. Today, it was Sophia Riller's turn. She was called to the front of her classroom to receive hers. Nervously, she walked forward, trying not to trip. In her head, she thought about all the different blessings she might get. Each one was special and strong in its own way. She quietly hoped for something simple, something that wouldn't make her stand out. Maybe the power of night vision from the mole god's blessing. That would be nice and safe. Her teacher stood next to a group of floating cards and told her to choose one. This card would show which god had chosen her. Her heart raced. She shut her eyes tight and reached out. When she opened them again, she saw it, the card of the gorilla god. The next day, a group of girls led by Carissa came over to Sophia. They laughed and asked which god had picked her. They teased her, saying not even the bird god would want to bless her, and joked that she had no beauty to be chosen by the peacock god. Sophia didn't answer. She stayed quiet, keeping her blessing a secret. After a while, the girls got bored and ran off, saying that Louise had returned to campus. They left her alone in the classroom, giving her a rare chance to eat her lunch in peace. Sophia studied at a fancy academy meant for the children of nobles and powerful families. The school said it wanted to create future leaders, but most of the students only cared about making money or marrying someone rich. The boys made business connections. The girls tried to find powerful husbands. Very few truly cared about doing something good for the country. Sophia came from a faraway land and was the daughter of a count, but her family didn't have much power or influence. No one tried to be her friend. There was nothing to gain from talking to her. So she often ate lunch by herself under a big tree. That day, she took out her lunch and picked up an apple. But when she tried to take a bite, her fingers crushed it completely. Her eyes went wide. She was scared. Since getting her blessing, she had broken everything she touched. She guessed it must be the new power. The day before, after the ceremony, Sophia had shown her card to her teacher in private. His eyes went wide with surprise. He gave her a warm smile and said she had been chosen by the gorilla god, a rare and powerful blessing that only appeared once every 50 years. People with this blessing gained incredible strength, 7 times stronger than normal. Even her grip became 10 times more powerful. Sophia's legs gave out and she fell to her knees. This wasn't what she had wanted. She didn't want to be noticed or given a power she couldn't control. Before she could say anything else, her teacher told her to come back the next day for a private meeting. He didn't explain why, but said it was important. Now, sitting under the trees, Sophia thought about that meeting. She tried to enjoy her lunch, but her mind kept drifting. A sudden rustling sound pulled her attention away. A squirrel had climbed down from the tree and was now staring at her with wide, curious eyes. She tilted her head, wondering why it was acting so strange. Maybe it was hungry. She took out a piece of bread and placed it gently on a handkerchief, leaving it behind as she stood up and walked away. The squirrel didn't touch the food. It just kept watching her, completely still. The day went by slowly, her mind still full of worry. When the final bell rang, instead of going home, she went to the headmaster's office. There she learned what her teacher had hinted at the day before. The Royal Knights were interested in her. They wanted her to take their entrance exam. The headmaster gave her a letter with all the steps she needed to follow. He spoke about duty and talent, saying her blessing was too rare to ignore. He told her that everyone who had ever received the gorilla god's blessing had become a knight. Inside, Sophia felt like she was falling apart. This was never her dream. She didn't want attention or to be forced into something so public. She imagined all kinds of terrible outcomes, disappointing her parents, being sent to a special school for failures, or becoming the center of gossip. Still, she stayed calm. She pretended to be okay with it. Sophia then asked the headmaster to keep her blessing a secret. He agreed, thinking she was just being humble and didn't want to brag. He even promised not to mention that the Royal Knights had scouted her, assuming she wanted to surprise everyone later. That afternoon, Sophia went back to her tree. The bread she had left earlier was gone, and only the handkerchief remained with a few crumbs. As she bent down to pick it up, she thought about the meeting. She was now on a path she never wanted, training to become a royal knight. But then a new idea came to her. What if she failed the exam on purpose? If she didn't pass, they wouldn't let her join, no matter how rare her blessing was. On the day of the test, Sophia got lost trying to find the training grounds. While wandering near the edge of campus, she saw an old man struggling with a broken wagon. One wheel was missing, and he didn't know how to move his heavy load. She hesitated. Helping him might get her noticed. But in the end, she couldn't ignore him. She used her strength to lift the barrels and carry them to the next town, surprising the man. By the time she finished and returned, she was completely lost. That's when Louise appeared. He saw she was confused and walked over. Sophia was stunned, not just because of how kind he was, but because of how handsome he looked. It was the first time she had ever been speechless around someone. She quickly explained her situation, and he pointed her toward the testing center. Before she left, he gently wiped her face, leaving her frozen. Then he wished her good luck and said they'd meet again soon. His words confused her, but she didn't have time to think about it. At the training grounds, she changed into her uniform and saw she was the only girl there. She still planned to fail, until she saw Luis arrive. He was going to be the one running the test. The first challenge was a 100-meter dash. A boy named Isaac volunteered to go first. He was fast, powerful, and serious. He finished in just 9.9 seconds, impressing everyone. Sophia felt relieved. Maybe now she could fail without drawing attention. When it was her turn, she walked to the starting line. Some of the boys laughed at her strange stance. She didn't care. She just wanted to run, lose, and leave. But as soon as she pushed off the ground, her body moved faster than she thought possible. The gorilla god's power took over. She flew down the track and crashed straight into the wall at the end, breaking through it. Everyone stared. The whole place went silent. Even Sophia stood frozen, shocked. For a moment, she had actually enjoyed it, letting herself use the power, and that realization scared her. The next test was rappelling down a tall tower. When she reached the top, the dizzying height made her stomach turn. The group hesitated, unsure of who should go first, until a boy named Eddie volunteered and even did a flashy flip on the way down. Then Sophia noticed Isaac standing off to the side, pale and tense. He admitted he was afraid of heights. She offered to go with him, promising to go first so she could catch him if anything went wrong. Touched by her kindness, Isaac smiled, but halfway down, a strong gust of wind hit. Isaac lost his balance and his safety gear snapped. Sophia acted without thinking. She grabbed him midair, trying to hold on, but the force ripped the anchor from the wall. They both fell. In the air, she turned, cradling Isaac tightly in her arms, and landed hard but safely, sending up a cloud of dust. Louise, watching nearby, looked stunned. Isaac, with tears in his eyes, thanked her. Whispers spread quickly about her bravery until Louise stepped in, quieting the crowd and reminding them the test wasn't over. Then he helped Sophia up and walked her to the infirmary. There, he noticed her injured palm and began cleaning it. He commented that the wound should have been much worse, considering the fall, and praised her strength, teasing that Isaac was probably already in love with her. Sitting quietly, Sophia found herself staring at Louise's face. She had always thought he was handsome, but up close she noticed even more: his long lashes, smooth skin, and the calm way he moved. When he looked up and caught her gaze, he gently asked if she was in pain. Startled, she quickly said no, flustered. She hadn't meant to stare and now felt embarrassed. Louise chuckled softly, a warm, easy sound that surprised her. In that moment, he seemed younger than she'd imagined, his usual seriousness replaced by a boyish charm. When she thanked him and tried to pull her hand away, he didn't let go. Instead, he held it gently between both of his hands, and the quiet warmth of the gesture left her speechless. The unexpected gesture caught Sophia completely off guard. She felt a little uncomfortable as Louis gently touched her injured hand. Clearing her throat, she softly called his attention. Louis blinked, clearly unaware of what he had been doing, and quickly pulled his hands away, looking embarrassed. It was a small thing, but Sophia noticed the slight change in him. His usual calm and polite expression slipped for just a moment, and she found herself quietly amused to see this rare, unguarded side of him. But that moment didn't last long. Louis quickly shifted the conversation, asking about her unusual strength and why she decided to join the night exam in the first place. Realizing that he might be asking too much, he quickly stopped himself, keeping any further questions to himself. He returned to his usual polite manners and simply offered his hand to help Sophia stand up. As they walked back to the training grounds, Sophia noticed that many of the examinees were already locked in mock battles, swords clashing in a flurry of movements. It became obvious that while she had been resting in the infirmary, the others had moved on to the next part of the test, and she had completely missed it. Her heart leaped with a flicker of hope. Maybe missing the test would mean she failed automatically, but that tiny hope was quickly replaced by a pang of disappointment. If she failed, she might never see Louis again. Sophia forced herself to stay calm. She reminded herself that Louis lived in a different world from hers. Later, Louis officially announced the end of the tests. The examinees began to leave, their voices full of either excitement or frustration. Sophia stayed behind, hoping for some kind of closure. Louis walked up to her and gave her a calm nod, thanking her for her bravery during the repelling test. Just then, Isaac came running over, clearly relieved to see her safe. His eyes teared up as he checked her injuries, still feeling thankful to her for saving him. Louis smiled faintly and reminded Isaac to properly thank her. He also praised Isaac's speed, saying it would be a great strength for a future royal knight. After that, Louis left. As Sophia and Isaac walked home, she grew curious and asked about Louis. Isaac happily shared what he knew. Louis came from a long line of royal knights, many of whom had been captains. It was almost certain that Louis would become a captain too. He had the leadership skills and the humility needed to lead. Despite his high status, he was kind and down to earth, earning respect from even the top elites. Sophia listened quietly. A feeling of envy grew in her chest. Isaac had such big dreams to be like Louis, to live with purpose. Meanwhile, she had no dreams like that. Her strength felt strange and out of place, like it was meant for someone else who knew how to use it properly. Sophia's thoughts were interrupted when they spotted Eddie a short distance away. He was cornered by a group of boys who were teasing and insulting him, saying he wasn't fit to be a knight because he was the son of a mistress. Sophia hesitated, not wanting to get involved. But her conscience wouldn't let her walk away. Eddie didn't deserve that treatment. She glanced at Isaac. Without needing words, they understood each other. Together, they walked toward the group, pretending that Eddie had agreed to walk home with them. The bullies laughed at the excuse, clearly not wanting to let Eddie go. Then one of them recklessly threw a punch at Sophia. But before it could hit her, Isaac grabbed the attacker's wrist in midair. Isaac was furious. A future knight raising a hand against a girl was something he couldn't forgive. Meanwhile, Eddie had already knocked out another bully from behind, sending him flying to the ground. Chaos broke out. Eddie and Isaac started fighting the group. Sophia just stood there, frozen with wide eyes, caught between amazement and disbelief. One of the bullies noticed her standing still and grabbed her wrists, trying to twist it painfully. But to Sophia's surprise, it didn't hurt at all. Without thinking, she reacted. With just a flick of her arm, she threw the bully across the clearing and into a tree. Everyone stopped fighting and stared at Sophia in shock. Trying to calm things down, Sophia quickly told everyone to stop and leave. Soon after, Sophia, Isaac, and Eddie walked home together quietly. The bullies had already picked up their injured friends and ran away without saying a word. Eddie joked that it was obvious Sophia had been blessed by the gorilla god. He said her amazing strength during the exam, especially outrunning Isaac, the fastest boy in the country, made it impossible to hide. His mood turned serious as he scolded Sophia for not realizing how lucky she was. He explained that the gorilla god's blessing gave her incredible strength. Even though he was annoyed, Eddie still thanked Sophia sincerely. Without her, they could have gotten seriously hurt. Isaac, still cheerful and friendly, officially reintroduced himself and said he hoped they could become close friends. He told the story of how he got his blessing from the dog god. Eddie didn't say anything about his own blessing. Sophia, feeling a little shy, told them her real name and asked for one favor: to keep her blessing a secret. Both boys agreed right away without any questions. When Isaac found out they were all 16 years old, he said it must be fate. He grabbed their hands and raised them into the air, dramatically declaring the start of their friendship. Even though Sophia smiled, deep down she felt guilty. She still planned to fail the path to knighthood, which meant she might have to leave her new friends behind. The next day at school, the headmaster called Sophia into his office. He told her she passed the exam even though she missed one test. Her other results were good enough. However, she would now have night training after school while still attending her regular classes. Later that day, back in class, the teacher introduced 2 new transfer students. All the girls gasped when Isaac and Eddie walked into the room. Sophia's eyes widened in shock. She tried to hide, but Isaac quickly spotted her and waved, calling out her name. Sophia gave a small, awkward wave back. All the other girls turned to stare at her, whispering among themselves. Sophia knew her quiet school life was officially over. During a break, Sophia pulled Isaac and Eddie aside into a quiet corner of the garden. She begged them not to tell anyone that she was a junior knight. Isaac looked confused, not understanding why she would hide something so honorable. Sophia fidgeted, not knowing how to explain that she didn't feel worthy compared to Isaac and Eddie, who everyone admired. Even though they didn't fully understand, both boys agreed to keep her secret. As they walked back through the courtyard, they heard noise near the school gate. A large group of girls had gathered, whispering and trying to see something. Curious, Sophia, Isaac, and Eddie peeked through the crowd and saw Louis standing calmly in the middle. As soon as Louis saw Sophia, he called out her name. The crowd went silent and dozens of girls turned to glare at her. Sophia's heart sank. Louis walked over and congratulated Sophia, Isaac, and Eddie for passing their exams. But before he could say more, Sophia panicked. She covered his mouth with her hand to stop him from speaking. In her rush, she forgot about her strength. Embarrassed, she quickly let go and apologized. Louis just laughed it off and asked if her hand was okay. Isaac and Eddie joined them, and Louis warmly offered his help if they ever needed it. While the boys chatted, Sophia's mind wandered. She realized she had never really noticed Louis before. Now she could feel everyone's stares burning into her, especially Carissa and her group. Back in class, Carissa and her friends cornered Sophia, demanding to know how she knew Louis, Isaac, and Eddie. Sophia tried to downplay everything, saying they weren't that close, but the questions kept coming, harsher each time. In desperation, Sophia said Louis was still outside. The girls rushed to the windows, giving Sophia a chance to escape. She ran to the cafeteria, feeling both relieved and exhausted. She grabbed a simple meal, just a bowl of soup and a couple of sandwiches, and found a quiet corner. But her peace didn't last. Isaac and Eddie found her quickly, sitting with trays full of food. They complained about all the attention they were getting, not realizing how much trouble it caused Sophia. They liked the spotlight, but Sophia had become a target for jealousy. Isaac noticed her small meal and tried to share his food, but she politely refused. She didn't want to draw more attention. Suddenly, they noticed someone walking toward them, Louis. Calm and confident, he carried a brown paper bag and went straight to their table. He greeted them casually and sat next to Sophia, ignoring all the stares from the cafeteria. He talked about the upcoming junior night induction ceremony, and Isaac and Eddie excitedly asked questions. Sophia, however, ate quickly and made an excuse to leave. Louis found it a little sudden, but wished her a good afternoon. Sophia hurried through the hallways, relieved to get away, but also feeling a little lonely. Before she could return to class, Louis caught up to her. Without saying much, he handed her the brown paper bag. Inside, he said, was a muffin he had bought just for her. He asked her to keep it a secret, saying he hadn't bought anything for Isaac or Eddie. As Louis walked away, Sophia felt a chill. She turned and saw Carissa and her friends lurking nearby, their sharp eyes staring straight at her and the bag. Carissa spoke first, demanding to know what was going on. Sophia froze, realizing her peaceful school life was truly over. That marks the end of today's anime recap. If you enjoyed the video and want more of it, please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe. Let's help us reach a current goal of 10K subscribers.